Podcast 14, Team Orientated.
Awaken the leader inside. Follow the path of leadership. Never give up. Never stop trying. Get up. Believe in yourself. Not every day is going to be easy, but you got to challenge yourself. You need courage. Be ready. Stop waiting for it to happen. Go make it happen. Harness the power within. You were destined to be a leader. Follow the path of leadership. Awaken the leader inside.
Podcast 14, Team Orientated.
Hey guys, welcome to another podcast. My name is Dave Rubalcava, and I'm your host here at Awaken the Leader Inside. Hey, today we're going to talk about being team orientated. I think this is definitely difficult for some leaders, especially your first year as leader, because there's just so many things that are happening. You have deadlines, you have, a lot of people that need your time. And so things get really, really crazy sometimes, and it's very easy to forget to focus on being team orientated. I think it's one of the most powerful tools that you'll ever have is once you become team orientated, once you focus on developing your team and getting them to the next level, things will just naturally get easier for you, but it is a challenge. It's going to take a lot of focus and a lot of communication, and we talked about communicating effectively. It's going to take a lot of your values to really build teams. So what is being team orientated? So you got to think about this. So all of us have played on a team at some point, whether it's sports, whether it's business, whether it's, family, doing things as a team. I mean, there's one common goal is that you have to be able to work together to reach a common goal, right? So that seems very, very simple, but you may have different personalities on your team. You may have personalities that are type A that are strong. You may have type B. You may have all these different types of personalities, but you're going to have to figure out how to really pull them together. And I think the challenge is you're going to have to actually focus on team morale. So how do we do that? What is team morale, right? When you're getting your team focused, I like to use that example of pushing the boulder uphill, right? You know, you're going to push this rock, you're going to push it uphill. At some point, if you're not on the same page, at some point, if you're not working together, somebody's going to trip, somebody's going to fall, and guess what's going to happen? The boulder's going to start rolling backwards, and then what happens? It just rolls over everybody, right? That's what happens when you don't have great teamwork. You have to keep that in mind, is that sometimes morale is going to be lost because some people are pushing harder than others. Some people are standing back watching everybody push the boulder, right? Those things are going to contribute to affecting your team morale. So you have to foster this. You have to be able to say, guys, this is our goal as a team. We are going to go this way. John, I need this from you. Sally, I need this from you. I need very specific things from you guys, and this is what we're going to do. And we're going to stay positive. We're going to stay focused. So you're going to set the stage of how to impact that morale, how to give them some type of gauge on how we're doing in our progress, but you're going to have to really facilitate that. The other thing that's really important about being team orientated is that you're going to have to build trust. Now, it's very easy for us to say, okay, you guys, you need to trust each other. No. You're going to have to actually facilitate trust. You're going to have to be the example first for them and talk to them and be sincere and be honest. And don't ever put yourself in a position where your integrity is being challenged, because you will never have trust. And trust is something fragile. And just like in any relationship we've ever been in, trust can be shattered very, very quickly. It may take you a really long time, if ever you get a chance to get it back. So you have to be consciously aware that building trust is important, but it starts with you. And then it starts with the communication that you have with your team. Like, you have to really be able to be comfortable to say, guys, if there's trust issues, you need to be able to sit people down and talk about it. You guys have to be able to work through those trust issues. You're going to have to gain commitments from them. That trust is going to be important, and it's an important part of your expectations. Trust will break your team. So it has to be something that's important. We can talk about trust a lot. We're probably going to have more podcasts down the road to talk about trust, but just know It is very vital, and you have to talk about trust. You can't just assume your team works well together. You have to temperature gauge. You have to ask them, how do they feel about their peers? How do you feel about what we're doing right now? What do you think the team feels about the direction? You're going to have to gain insight, because once you realize that your team doesn't trust each other, you're going to realize it's very simple. They're not committed to this. They're not committed to each other. That is going to become a problem when you try to push the rock up the hill, right? Somebody's going to get squashed. Every time I give you guys a value, I want you to think about them in two stages. One of them is directly you. So in this example, you need to be a developer. You need to be able to spend time with people. You need to be able to set the expectations. You have to be able to do the follow-up. You're going to have to be able to spend time teaching them how to be successful, because by default, if you're their leader, you've clearly been successful at something to get to where you're at. So by default, you are the experienced leader. You must have done something right to get to where you're at, right? So you have to be able to teach others how to do that. You know, we have many, many podcasts coming down the road on how to develop people, but just know that is part of your core value, your core roles, that you must develop people. The second part is you have to teach your teams to develop people. The easiest way to do it is when you have new people, right? Somebody has to train people. Somebody has to spend time with them. Somebody has to teach them the ropes, right? You really want it to be your best associate or your best manager to do that. But sometimes that's all we do. We allow just one person to be the person that develops people, and that is going to not allow your team to grow at a rapid pace. You have to share that with other people. So you have to consciously say, you know what, Eric, he's probably not the best at developing people, so I need to invest time into him and teach him, so that I have 2 to 3 people that can actually develop others. Developing others is something that's going to help you. It's what I like to call run. So in early parts of the stages of new teams, you struggle, you crawl, sometimes you'll walk and then you fall down and then you get back up, right? But you're never running full stride. When you have a team that is capable of developing others, capable of developing new talent, or developing people that have been around for a while that just didn't have the opportunity, you're going to have a team that can actually run full sprint, full speed. And that is what catapults your business to do things that you've never seen before. That's what happens when you harness that energy and you harness that power of developing people, is that when they all start to run, it's amazing. I mean, you can't stop them. And once they find success, they're going to want that even more, and they're going to push themselves even harder. And sometimes you'll realize you're not even the one pushing them anymore, because you have a team that's invested in development, invested in their own development and the development of the other team members or other associates that are with you. So developing people is one of the most challenging because it takes time. Some values you can correct very quickly and you get immediate results. This one is going to take time. This one takes time because it's an investment of you with your team, and then an investment in developing them to develop the team. So like I said, this value I look on it's 2 different levels, but it starts with you first. Because if you don't foster that, if you're not the one saying that this is important, developing people, building trust is not important, then it's never going to happen in your team. And this is the one, you guys, this is the one value that will probably stop your career. Or at some point, you're not going to be able to get results the same way that you always have, because just by challenging people or being, micromanaging or challenging their accountability, at some point, the scale's going to tip where that's not enough. It's not going to be enough to get you the results that you're pushing for, and you're going to wonder why. I've spent years watching other teams fail. Other teams fail because they don't understand how important teamwork is. They don't understand that they're part of the equation too. It's not just you challenging your team to be team orientated. You gotta be team orientated too, which means you need to demonstrate that. You need to work with other teams. You need to help other people. And you're like, well, I got a lot of responsibility. I can't do that. You have to do it. You have to lead by example. And then focus on their development and doing the same thing. So it's going to be a powerful tool for you down the road. So always keep that in mind. If your team seems to be failing, if you can't get the results that you normally been getting, then you got to really look at your team. And you got to ask yourself a couple of questions. Is my team focused? Is my team committed? Do they trust each other? Do they work well with each other? Are they developing new people great habits, or are they teaching them poor habits? Those are some of the things that when you start to dissect and try to figure out why your team isn't working correctly, or your team isn't functioning at a high level, those are where you start. And when you start to ask yourself that, and when you start to ask the team the same questions, you're going to gain a lot of insight from them, because chances are they know more about what's happening in this team than you probably will. So you can't be afraid to ask those questions to your team. Ask them how they feel. Ask them about trust. Ask them. You're going to learn so much. And then with anything else in life, once you hear the truth, it's up to you to change it. Remember, when you take a group of individuals and they believe in something bigger than themselves, that's called teamwork. And when you build a team that believes that anything is possible, that's where you're going to find success.
Stay tuned for the next podcast. Always remember, awaken the leader inside.